Hello everyone and welcome to my TJ Silver channel. I'm going to do a demonstration today on Kato and Premo clay, and I was very lucky to be given a couple of blocks by a lovely lady called Cara Jane at the British Polymer Clay Guild's 20th anniversary this year. I'd never used Kato and I still haven't. This is the first time of using it, and she recommended that I gave it a go, so I'm just going to compare it really between the two. That's the best blue I've got really. I know there's a slight difference there, but that's the only blue I've got, and it's not an accent, it is just the Premo. And I've got pink in the Kato and black in the Kato, and obviously the same in the Premo. So I have so far just conditioned 2 pieces of black. Probably not the right way around to do it with my pasta machine, but hey, that's the way I work. I've obviously put a K here, although I don't really need to, if I'm honest, because I can tell the difference. This one doesn't seem to quite as dark, I would say. The pigmentation doesn't seem to be quite so black, but I'm liking the feel of it straight away, and it reminds me a little bit of the souffle, Premo souffle, in the sense that it's not going to easily stick to another clay straight away. You're going to have to sort of work it to do that, which is quite nice in a way, because it gives you the opportunity to pull something apart if you're not too happy. And whereas you can see with the Premo, it's also slightly shinier as well, but that's more where it can be quite tacky, you know. And I do find sometimes that you have to sort of leave the clay just a little bit, just to sort of let it sit before you start manipulating it too much, otherwise it can be a bit sort of like soft and sort of stretch out of shape. But so far so good. I'm liking, I like my Premo, I always have done, and obviously I'm liking the Kato so far. So I'm going to just make a very simple cane, and I will probably let it sit for a little bit, or what I might try and do is put one together, cut it in half, maybe just sort of play around with it a bit, and then cut the pair of them on camera so as you can see what they're like before they've sat and after they've sat, and we can see what sort of difference we get, any sort of distortion, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera for a little bit now, because you don't want to watch me doing that, because it'd just be too boring. And I will be back soon with the results. So see you all, bye. Hello again everyone, and I'm back after making this very little cane up. Nothing spectacular, I can assure you. This is out of the Kato, and it's the black, the pink, the blue. And I'm going to cut it very shortly. I turned it into a little square just for ease really, and I used the square benders that you can get from tinypandora.com. I highly recommend them, they're brilliant. Okay, so this is going to be the first cut. I'm going to do one on the edge, purely so as we can see whether it distorts very much. And then this is quite soft, and I will turn it straight round to show you. And I would say yes, it has a little bit, but not anything that I would be too worried about, and it's very easily rectified. Now I do know that they say you shouldn't really cut at the end of a cane, but I really wanted to see what the difference would be, so I will cut slightly further in. I'm just going to leave enough so as I don't have to make this one up again, just to see what it's like when you cut slightly further into the cane. And I would say that is slightly better than the first piece that was cut, but still very good. I'm quite pleased with it. And that's in the Kato, and I'm going to let this piece sit. I may just, I don't know, manipulate it a bit, maybe try and make it a little bit smaller so it's more of a square again, and let that sit while I make up another cane in the Premo, and then we can see what the difference is. And I'll also give you what I feel is my honest opinion on both of the clays. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hello again everyone. So this time I've made the cane in Premo, and obviously not exactly the same as the Kato, because the colours are slightly different, but overall basically the same cane. So I've literally just finished making this into a sort of square, and I'm going to cut this on the end like I did with the Kato and just see what the distortion is like. And I'll turn it straight round and show you. I would say this is probably slightly flatter this way, but that wouldn't take an awful lot to put that right. I don't think there is an awful lot of difference, to be fair. This is one maybe just be slightly taller, but that's, you know, this hasn't been pushed down through cutting. So far I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of difference between the two clays. What I will do is I'll cut another piece off, a bit like I did, just enough so as it's sort of almost in the centre to see. And again, I can sort of feel that there really wasn't an awful amount of distortion there. So all in all, they both seem to be working out okay. What I will say is the blue on the Kato was very soft. The pink, I would say, was just how I like it. And the black, once I'd sort of rolled it out and used an acrylic roller over a few slices just to get rid of that sort of dry looking it, and put it through the pasta machine, it was absolutely fine. So, you know, so far I'm happy with it, and I've got, you know, I would have no problems at this point saying, well, I'd be happy to use Kato or Premo. I myself do like the Premo souffle for making canes, but I'm not by any means professional in making canes at all. If I make a cane, it tends to just happen rather than put any real thought into it. Yes, so far so good. And what I will do next is I will reduce this piece to as small as I have the other one and let it sit, and then we'll cut them together and we can see what they look like then. So I will see you again shortly. Bye. Hello again everyone. Okay, so here are the two reduced canes now. This one being the Premo and this one being the Kato. Now please don't take the sort of way that this cane has gone as being distortion or that the clay or anything like that. It's not. It's that's more me. Believe me, I'm not brilliant at making canes at all. I'm not very good at sort of learning how to sort of like stop and just let something sit for a minute or two. I like to just trudge on, and I normally pay the penalty for it. So that one doesn't look quite as symmetrical, quite as pretty, although I still like it, of course I do. This one does look a little bit more I suppose a cleaner lines, I suppose you could say, but they are two different clays. To be honest with you, I haven't noticed an awful amount of difference between them. Like I say, the blue on the Kato was quite soft, but not soft that it was a problem, and probably the same with the pink on the Premo, again, but not too soft that it really was a problem. So I'm going to cut them both now, but being as they've sat, I would say, for probably about an hour. And I'm just going to cut them both straight down the middle. Move one out of the way. This one I'm going to do first is the Premo. And I think, as you can see, actually that's quite a clean cut. Not too much distortion. It hasn't bent it down the front at all too much, so I'm quite pleased with that. And I will do exactly the same with the Kato. And again, I would say really no distortion. So actually I'm quite happy with the both of them, and to be perfectly honest, I would probably use either or. I would certainly like to try a bit more with the Kato, because I do believe that it can be quite hard when it's baked, which is quite good. Not that none of the others are hard, obviously they are, but it just seems to have more of a some of them can be quite flexible once they're baked still, you know, you can still sort of bend them around a bit, especially with the Premo. But I think with the Kato, it does, once it's baked hard, that's it. There's no sort of flexibility in it, so it's really dependent on what you want to use it for. But to be perfectly honest, as far as actual, you know, one clay being better than the other, I'm happy with them both. I do know that with the Kato, I don't think there's quite the same colour choice, and to get some colours you tend to sort of have to maybe blend your own colours, but again, that's not a problem. Yeah, I can highly recommend Kato. I think it's a nice clay to work with. I haven't had any problems, any issues with it at all. That's not to say that I might not. The only thing I found was probably the black did have a little bit of dry spot, but I soon rectified that. And it wasn't really a problem, so I'm happy, and I would say that out of the two of them, they're about the same. I'll probably still use Premo probably slightly more just because I know that clay, but that doesn't mean to say that I wouldn't want to use the Kato, because I definitely will. So I thank Cara Jane for giving me those 3 blocks and letting me have a play. That was very, very good of her. And I hope it's helped anyone out there, and if you've got any questions and I can answer them, please do leave them below. And if you wish to subscribe, please do so, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye bye.